Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome back. If you find yourself just struggling and just deeply saddened that you really have nobody to talk to about the dead DCEU right before the DCU kicks off, and you're just reminiscing about the jumbled mess that was the DCEU, and you're like, oh my god, I have nobody to talk to about this jumbled mess of a universe. We'll stop right there because now you have found somebody. Yes, we're going to be reminiscing about the DCEU today leading up to the DCU. So welcome. Yes, today we're going to be doing another movie review, so let's just hop right into it. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing the movie Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which came out in 2016. So for director, we got Zack Snyder. Writers, we got Chris Terrio and David S. Goyer. Starring in the movie, we got Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Jesse Eisenberg. So as we hop into the review for Batman v Superman, obviously like I just said, we're taking a look back at some of the older DCEU films, specifically more some of the Superman-led movies leading up to Superman, which comes out just in a couple days here, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like I mentioned in my intro here, the DCEU gave us some good movies, but I think at least me, I'm ready for this restart here. And growing up, like if you guys watched my Man of Steel review, I grew up with that movie. I saw it in theaters. I really loved it and was like obsessed with it for a period of time here. However, when I started getting more into online discourse and Reddit forums, I guess, for movies, really delving into that, I remember before BVS came out, the hype leading up to it. I was never a big comic reader, so it was struggling for me to comprehend why Batman would ever be fighting Superman, and just the lead up to this movie, the hype was like unlike anything I had ever really experienced. And I remember after it came out, I think this movie, I don't know if it's number one, but it holds the record for like strongest second week drop off with I think like 80% drop off, which is horrible. I can't remember the last time a movie's done that, but I remember when it came out, it was even way more mixed than Man of Steel. A lot more hate on it. There was people that liked it, but there was just so much discourse around this. But pretty much everybody kind of agreed that it was at least disappointing. Even if you really liked it, the majority of people, I think, said it was pretty disappointing, and a lot of people were trashing on it. For me, I can really only remember watching this movie once when it came out. Today we are going to be reviewing and discussing the Ultimate Edition, I think it is. Yeah, the extended cut Ultimate 3-hour edition of it, but I remember only ever seeing the theatrical released version and just watching it once, thinking it was okay, and literally never watched it again. So I was excited to check this out. It's been almost 10 years since I've watched it last, which is just fucking crazy to think about. But yeah, let's hop into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. So first, I absolutely loved all of the 4.3 aspect ratio, the IMAX shots. I'm not sure if it's just with the Ultimate Edition. Like I said, I can't really remember watching this in theaters, but all those scenes shot in that IMAX format honestly looks stunning and incredible. I have this on 4K. I recently got a brand new 4K TV, and honestly, any of those scenes can be used as like a test demo to show you how good physical media can look. And if you have a proper TV and speaker setup like I do, it looks and sounds absolutely incredible. I know some people don't like it, but I wish just the whole movie was filmed and shot like that. I'm probably going to rewatch Zack Snyder's Justice League, so I like seeing movies in that format. I prefer it more than the widescreen. I mean, if anything, everything should just be full screen, but if I had to choose widescreen or this IMAX format, I'd go IMAX. But all those scenes are stunning and incredible. They hold up so well here. And starting off with this movie, since this was back in the day, our introduction to the DCEU Batman with Ben Affleck, I like that it kind of catches you up to speed, shows you his backstory and everything with just some, flashback scenes. It doesn't really delve into it, but it kind of catches everybody up to speed that, like, okay, we're doing the traditional Batman story here, for people who know it. There you go. For people who don't, let's catch you up to speed. So I like that. I like the way it was shot. I like how Zack Snyder used his special slow-mo that he loves so much in that scene, like especially with that gunshot to his mother as it's like wrapped around a pearl necklace and they all go like flying everywhere when the criminal shoots the gun off. I think that scene is very, very well done here. And then I also like how that leads in, again, our introduction to Batman here. We see Ben Affleck's Batman, or I guess Bruce Wayne, in the climax section of Man of Steel, how he's literally on the ground level. And it shows you how much he cares and loves his city and the people in it, as he's literally running right into the danger of the decimation that is happening from the third act climax of Man of Steel, of how he's just trying to help anyone and everyone that he can in that instance. So I like that we get this introduction to Batman, shows you who he is, but it also kind of gives an interesting new perspective on the third act of a movie we just saw here. So I do really like that here as well. And then the beginning of this movie is honestly a lot better than I remember it or thought it was gonna be. I absolutely love how it jumps from that Ben Affleck scene down on the ground level. Then it jumps into Superman saving Lois Lane during a reporting thing she was doing when she was taken hostage. And he comes in there and saves her. And then it jumps to another scene where we get to see one of Batman's victims who's a villain, but we jump in there in a house and you could see Batman had his like torture room kind of set up, and it shows like all the criminals there being very deathly afraid of Batman. And I like how, Batman v Superman, it shows these two superheroes, how much they care for their city and the people in it, but they just go about it in two very different ways. Like Superman's more of that hopeful, happy-go-lucky superhero that we're all kind of used to, when Batman is still a hero, more of a anti-hero, or at least people kind of see him in that way, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to stop the crime, even if that means he has to kind of cross a moral line too. And if you also read up on what they were doing when trying to create Man of Steel, how David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan really wanted to have this Superman movie, taking a look at how humans and the Earth would react if Superman was real and just like made his presence known one day. So I like how this movie kind of delves a little deeper into that, into the debate aspect of, what would humans do and how would they react if this godlike person like Superman really came to Earth? We would all want him to help us, but how can we fully trust or even control someone who's more powerful than anything? Because really the only thing stopping him from turning into another Zod-like character is just his moral compass, because he was raised on Earth by two great parents. But besides that, it's really up to him if he wants to cross that line or not. So it's interesting because you traditionally think of Superman as this good guy and everything, and he is in this movie, he is in Man of Steel, but again, there's nothing really stopping him from crossing that moral line. So it poses an interesting question, because humans and the government would be terrified of that, even if all Superman did was just trying to help. So I like that kind of debate and what we delve into throughout this movie. And speaking of those 4.3 aspect ratio shots, that nightmare dream sequence with Batman before he gets that like flash dream sequence, like the scene right before it, the nightmare sequence is fucking incredible. That scene has to be like my new like go-to test, a showcase demo for my TV and my speakers here. To me, that scene is incredible, and I never really bothered me when Snyder made Batman more of this like aggressive, violent form of Batman where he kills people and he's doing his own thing. Like, the action is incredible in that. We've gotten the traditional Batman story before, so why not just try to switch it up and show a different version of Batman? Like, maybe he started off like that and turned into something like this. So I think it's a little bit more interesting because, at this time we just finished up the Nolan trilogy, so we saw that Batman very recently. So I like the different incarnation of this Batman. And to me, like I said, I'm not a big comic reader, so I get if it upset you, but to me, I kind of like that different version since we're already kind of getting a different version of Superman. It makes sense why we'd get a different version of Batman than we're used to. And, this movie's not like violent, but taking a look back on it, it's way more violent and gritty than any modern superhero movie. At least since Endgame, I haven't seen superhero violence portrayed in this way with this such serious tone. So I really appreciate how violent and gritty Batman is in this movie. And that scene leading up to when Batman and Superman finally have their confrontation, not the fight, but that first confrontation. Before that Batmobile scene is fucking incredible. Really, the only thing that really tops that for me is probably in Robert Pattinson's Batman. I think I might like that one a little bit more. Maybe I have to watch both back to back just to see, but the one we get in here is incredible. Shows you how much destruction Ben Affleck's Batmobile can really do in a situation like this. And then I love that beautiful introduction to Superman we get when that slow-mo shot when Batman's in his Batmobile as he just decimated all these villains in this like warehouse back alley thing, and he's like drifts right into Superman and just like bounces off of him, like going full speed. His car just bounces right off of him and shows you just how outmatched Batman kind of really is in this situation. And I love how Superman just doesn't even flinch and how he looks at them. It's such a great scene that really sticks out to me and makes me remember this movie for a great scene like that. And then you get a great little quick dialogue where Superman's basically saying like, hey man, this is a warning to you. You better stop. The Bat is dead. And then you get that cool like introduction to how Batman's voice is going to work. Like he's not trying to hide his voice. He actually has like a microphone that changes how his voice sounds. And he gives that great line like, tell me, do you bleed? And I love that scene so much. That's such a badass line. And I love how Batman's voice sounds in his costume in this movie. And next here, it's talking about like standout scenes. To me, I really do enjoy that courtroom scene when Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor sets up that trap and bomb during that hearing that Superman is in attendance for. I see it so interesting too, seeing like a godlike character like Superman have to stand before a small little council and section of the government like that. I always thought that was kind of interesting. And the Granny Peach Tea thing, I find it as kind of like sickly, dark, and kind of comedic, but also kind of fucked up at the same time. And I never really understood the hate for that scene. Like, I get if you don't like this portrayal of Lex Luthor and just, the callback to that kind of goofy scene earlier, talking about the, like, you can't just piss in a jar and call it Grandma's Peach Tea. Like, I don't know. To me, I kind of liked it. Like, does it really make sense how Lex Luthor could have pissed in a jar and placed it up there? No, but it's easy to kind of look past because I think it's a pretty intense scene that also is just so devastating for Superman because Lex Luthor kind of hid the bomb in that wheelchair so Superman couldn't see, and it makes him look worse to the public appearance, and even has people questioning if he set it off. Like, it looks bad for Superman, and it's a cool scene because we know it was Lex Luthor, but the public doesn't. So to me, I really like that scene. I like what it sets up for Superman and Batman in this movie. And speaking of Batman, I love how epic he is in this movie, and he's almost like his own human version of a Greek god in Gotham. Like, he's a fucking unit, and that big, bulky, almost robotic like Batman suit is some of the coolest superhero shit I feel like I've ever seen. It's like a more fantastic version of Batman, but Snyder makes it so believable and grounded in this universe. And I love Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. I never understood the, questioning before the release of this. Like, these are all professional actors. Like, they're going to play the role and really get into character. So I feel like you really can never judge a casting announcement until you see it because they're actors. They're going to convince you they are this person. So I don't know. I'm always of the mindset like, yeah, let's see how it plays out. These are actors. Let's see what they do with it. Let's give them a chance here. And Ben Affleck really bulked up for this. Like, he is a big dude, and then in that suit he's even bigger, so it kind of makes that fight between him and Superman a little bit more believable. But I love Batman in this movie. And of course, speaking of Batman, like we talked about with that nightmare sequence, obviously everybody talks about the warehouse scene, but to me, that again is some of the best superhero, gritty, real, violent action I've seen. Definitely since Endgame, so the past like 6 years at least, but it still stands out compared to how overly saturated this whole superhero stuff is. Like, still to this day, it stands out. You get that really cool scene when he punches one of the villains. It just like gives him a quick punch and his whole body like flips into the ground, which is so cool and shows you the power behind Batman here. And again, it's so cool seeing a Batman who's really like lost his way sort of thing, and where he's lost his moral compass and truly just does not care, and seeing this angry, violent Batman. I love it. I think it introduces something new that we haven't seen before and just tries to do something a little bit different that really worked for me. And lastly here, we'll get into it, but that Flash dream sequence after the nightmare dream sequence with Batman, it feels a little shoehorned in, but I always kind of like that. Like, it's not too distracting because it's still within a dream sequence technically, and it kind of sets up and hints towards Justice League, showing a character in the Flash that we haven't seen before at this time. So to me, if they stop there, and yes, we'll talk about the email shit. If they stopped there, I think that would have been enough. And I really like it. It's kind of like creepy and haunting to me in a way. Now, let's jump into my mixed aspects for this movie. So first, the beginning, like I'd said, the first like 50 minutes to an hour is not bad. Definitely much better than I remember it being. However, though, at the like 50-minute hour mark, I noticed they kind of spent a lot of time just meandering, unfortunately. Like, Lex is doing his own thing with the Senate, getting pieces of the kryptonite stone stuff, and Batman is trying to find these weapon dealers, and Superman's doing his thing with his reporting stuff. So it's all like interesting, just none of them yet are really all connected, and you can never really feel it building to something, which is just strange. Like, even though with this ultimate cut it's 3 hours, I still was like, okay, like, you're kind of wasting a lot of time here. Like, we don't even get these characters all interacting till close to an hour in at that dinner party scene, or 50 minutes in. So it's a little strange that it wasted so much time in the beginning to me. And unfortunately, in my mixed section, I do have to put the actual Batman versus Superman fight in here. Like, yes, the scenes that we get are fucking epic and really hold up well, and it felt like that big event once we finally got there. And I love how Snyder filmed this, and it, to me, like I said in Man of Steel, it's almost like Zack Snyder films these fight scenes as like brutal bar fights between two gods. It's so brutal and awesome, and just like hand-to-hand combat. Like, you're not like blasting lasers at each other, you're literally physically fighting. So it just, again, it really stands out looking back at this. However, I think that scene needed to be much longer, or at least like a couple fight scenes leading up to that one before the team up at the end. And again, I think it just needed to be much longer. Like, the scenes that we get is so good, but it feels like it just wraps up quickly. And yes, it unfortunately, that epic fight that we do get just wraps up in the dumbest way possible with the Martha scene, that infamous Martha scene. Like, I get what Snyder and the writers were trying to do, like, show that Batman now understands that Superman's more human than he really thought, and look at these two people bonding over their family. Like, they're more similar than they are different. Like, I get it, but for Batman to just like go from 1 second that he is going to murder Superman to hearing that he has the same mom's name and just stopping, teaming up, now being best buddies with Superman. It reminded me of like Revenge of the Sith when Anakin turns. Like, I get it. I get what they were going for. Just it's too abrupt and it comes off as just silly and just like this character has now no morals or anything. He just switches on a dime, and it's unfortunately very similar to here. And just the Martha scene is just so stupid. And when Amy Adams, Lois Lane character, comes in, is like, it's his mother's name, you gotta stop, and he just does. I'm like, that's how we're gonna wrap up Batman versus Superman. I remember being disappointed in the theaters, and I think it's even worse now revisiting it, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put the Doomsday stuff in here. Like, I hate the reason that we get to Doomsday with Lex just getting right into the Kryptonian spaceship with a couple of fingerprints, and he gets access to everything, cuts himself in a little like pool or hot tub or something, and just creates new life form. It's so quick, it's so stupid, and it just feels like it kind of happens out of nowhere. But it's in my mix because that Doomsday stuff, the final like 20 minutes, is so fucking epic. It's like, it's one of those cliche boss fights that just, it works so well with the action, how it's filmed, how massive and epic it feels, how all the characters get something to do there and then in the end really team up to all fight Doomsday. And it just feels like it's something ripped right out of a comic book page with how crazy over the top it is. I love when like the nuke goes off in space and you see it illuminate the sky, and then it's so cool when Doomsday turns out to be like a Godzilla-like character and he gets a little bit bigger and more powerful from the nuclear energy there at the same time. But again, like, it's just, at the end of the day, it is just kind of a boss fight, and I hate that how Lex creates Doomsday. It just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere, and they needed a reason for, Wonder Woman to show up and just them to quickly team up together and fight against evil. Like, it's disappointing, and it's rushed, and it feels weird because this is a 3-hour movie, so nothing should feel rushed, but this definitely does. And again here, right after that, the Superman sacrifice is really cool. It's so cool and interesting seeing a superhero movie again really have like stakes to kill off fucking Superman. But then 5 minutes later, they show the dirt float up from his casket, so he's not dead. Like, I don't understand why they needed to show that. Like, clearly this was leading up to Justice League. We knew Superman was going to come back. We knew he wasn't actually going to be dead. But just leave it like rest for a little bit for this movie. It could have been similar to what Infinity War did to Endgame. Like, obviously we knew these superheroes would come back in some sort of way, but leave that for the next movie. Like, let your stakes stay as high as you put them right here. I don't know why they felt the need to undo that, especially 5 minutes later. It's just so fucking stupid that they didn't commit to it. And let's jump into my negatives, or the things that I just did not like about this movie. So first, I hate Lex Luthor in this movie. Jesse Eisenberg, I like him as an actor. He's a good actor, and you could tell he was doing his best with the material that they gave him and really just going in the direction that Snyder or whoever wanted him to go. But he's just so over the top and cringy. It just doesn't work for what they needed for a villain, especially going up to this portrayal of Batman and Superman. Lex just stands out, and not in a good way at all. I think he would have worked better as like the real Lex Luthor's like crazy sidekick that we saw every once in a while. I think that would have been a little bit better. And again here, like everybody's talked about for the past 10 years, that email scene where Batman gets flash drive from LexCorp showing Aquaman, Cyborg, and the Flash is just so stupid. And then they double down on it with Batman emailing Wonder Woman like pictures from the flash drive, like, I know who you are, like, who are you, what are you doing? And she's like reading an email. It's just like, oh my god, like there was really no better way to handle this. Like, I cannot believe, like, it feels like that was like a first draft kind of like, all right, we'll do something here, but like these characters got to figure out who, like, we got to set up a little something here. Like, just the way that they do that is just like, they could have chose anything else. It's just so bad. I hate how they do that. And again, like I hinted at with my mix with the Doomsday stuff, I find a lot of Lex Luthor stuff uninteresting and stupid. Like, it's kind of interesting how he's trying trying to pin Batman and Superman against each other from behind the scenes. But again, how he breaks into the Kryptonian ship with just some skin, some fingerprints, and just creates a whole new life form, gets access to the whole ship and everything. Nothing that all these scientists and researchers could do, but he does it in like an afternoon. Again, in a 3-hour movie, nothing should feel that rushed and hand-fisted, but this one definitely does. And again, as the movie continues, it just, to me, makes less and less sense what Lex Luthor's plan really is. Like, I don't get why he would really kidnap Superman's mother and force him to fight and kill Batman. Then, his idea was to kind of like, let's show the world who Superman like really is. Like, he does it in the most convoluted, complex, unnecessarily complex way possible that really makes no sense. Like, even if Superman did go through with this, like, in the end, he's really just, again, he did something evil, but he was a victim, kind of forced to do it, and just trying to do the best thing possible in that situation. Like, I feel like it wouldn't really change the public's perception of Superman all that much. And they spend like 2 hours on this, like, trying to get them to fight, and that was like the best reason that they could come up with. And I don't get it too, because a lot of people in this universe, or not a lot of people, but some people just don't even like Batman. So if Superman killed Batman, there'd be people that would be pissed off, but then there'd probably be other people who would really like Superman now. So just his plan makes no sense, and just like what he's doing throughout the movie just is so uninteresting, unfortunately, which is too bad, because it could have been really interesting seeing like, very strategically settle this up for a reason, but they don't really give us a good reason as to why Lex Luthor is trying to have them really fight in the first place, besides it being titled Batman v Superman here. And of course, like people have said, the Lois Lane stuff, like she was fine in Man of Steel. Again, they didn't really give her much to do, but in this movie, they really give her fucking nothing to do. Like at one point, she has that Kryptonian staff with the kryptonite on it. She like throws it away after Batman and Superman fight, and then like the next scene dives into the water because she's like, oh shit, I think they're probably gonna need that. And then it leads to a scene where she has to be saved again and pulls Superman away from the third act fight. So it's just like, oh my god, guys, you really didn't have anything else for her to do than to get into trouble and get saved by Superman. Like, it happens like 4, 5, 6 times in this movie, and I feel bad because I wanted more of that chemistry and relationship building between Superman and Lois Lane, because she's an important character to Superman, kind of again tying him to why he cares so much about Earth, that it doesn't make a lot of sense why they wouldn't try to flesh that out a little bit more. And lastly here, to me, the Wonder Woman stuff feels so forced. I don't remember watching it in theaters and remembering how forced it really is, but again, she doesn't really have anything to do in this movie besides show up for the Doomsday stuff. Like, she's just kind of randomly walking around in these elegant dresses, kind of semi-flirting with Batman at these dinner parties, and then gets an email, gets off a flight, and then shows up for the third act fight. Like, she's great in that third act fight. It's cool, the first time we heard that theme music and everything, like, it's definitely interesting, and I liked seeing her. Just, I wish they gave her more something to do if they were going to have her kind of throughout the movie. Like, it just, I don't know, it seemed weird to me, like more of just like a studio decision, like, throw Wonder Woman in. We're planning a Wonder Woman movie very soon here, Snyder, okay? That's just how it felt to me, unfortunately. But all that to say, I would say overall, this movie is definitely a lot better than I remember. And I think the extended cut or Ultimate Edition did help with that. When this movie's firing on all cylinders, it does some things really well, specifically with the action, the style, the grand scale, the interesting superheroes and special gritty superhero action that we get to see that we don't get a lot of nowadays. However, it does have a lot of mixed and disappointing and convoluted aspects that hold it back from being this great superhero movie that it should have been, and instead just kind of brings it down to a pretty good one. to me. So for my rating for this is, I do own this right here, but I did get it on sale, okay? It was worth seeing on 4K. I do recommend it if you could find it at a cheaper price or a discount price here. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind rewatching this. However, I think I'd only kind of look to do it to show off my cool TV and cool speakers with that 4.3 aspect ratio scenes. And I wouldn't mind, you know, watching it just like casually, like sitting down if no one's seen it. I wouldn't mind rewatching it again here. So yeah, a little bit better than ZakIsCinema remembers here. But yeah, so you guys have my thoughts here on Batman v Superman. Honestly, I'm having a lot of fun going through with these, so if I have time, maybe I'll take a look back at Zack Snyder's Justice League as well leading up to Superman. We'll see here. But yeah, Man of Steel was awesome. This was better than I remember it being. So yeah, let me know down below. I'm very curious to hear everybody's thoughts and feelings on Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition here. What did you think of it when it first came out in theaters? Have you watched it recently? What do you think about it now? Has your opinion changed over the years? Let me know all that information down below here. But yes, I appreciate anybody watching my videos. It does mean a lot, so thanks again. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.